In this video today, I'm going to show you how to create two different types of slope graphs in Tableau. I will post this workbook on my blog, so you can see it there along with the video. And here's my contact information. You can find me at viswiz.blogspot.com, on Twitter at viswizbi, or on Facebook at facebook.com/viswiz. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a data set that is the last 10 years of Premier League standings. And this data set includes the team's position, so this is their current position within the 2014-15 season. And you can see for previous seasons, it's for the full 38-game season. And I also created a metric called points per goal. And this is just the difference between their number of points and the number of goals that they've scored. And based on that points per goal, I created a ranking. So this ranks the teams within each season based on their points per goal total. All right, so let's connect to that data set in Tableau 9. So I'm going to click on the little Tableau icon, choose Excel, and I'm going to, oops, went a little too far there. I'm going to click on EPL standings, and then go ahead and go to the sheet. And you can see now that I have 10 seasons worth of data. I've got 10 marks down the bottom, go from 2005 to the current year. All right, so the easiest way to create a slope graph is to just start dragging things to the rows. But first, I want to rename this position field to make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to call this our table position. And I'm going to take table position and drag that to the rows. Excellent. Now, that's going to serve as one of my metrics. My second metric that I'm going to create the slope for is my points per goal position. And that's this field here. So let's go ahead and rename that. And the way that I like to do slope graphs is I like to go ahead and drag this onto the axis. And you'll see that I got two green rulers. That means it's going to create a combined axis. And when you create a combined axis, Tableau brings measure names out to the columns and measure values to the rows. Okay, now I want my table position to be to the left and points per game to be to the right, so I'm just going to reorder them here on the measure value shelf. I only want to look at the current season, so I'm going to filter to 2014-15. And what the heck, I'll go ahead and show the quick filter here. And change the quick filter to be a slider. And now what I want to do is I need to draw a bunch of lines. So I'm going to drag team and put that on the labels, and then change my mark type to lines. You can see I'm starting to get a slope graph. Make it a little bit wider so it's easier to see. Maybe make it even a little bit wider than that. Okay, let's drag it there. And what I like to do now is I like to add the dots on the ends of the markers, on the ends of the lines, and make the lines thinner. And now you can see I've got a slope graph. In this example, because we're doing a ranking, we want the lowest value to be at the top. So I need to reverse the scale, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the title for the axis. Okay, we're almost there. The last thing that I like to do is I like to go ahead and color the lines. In this case, we want to color the lines by the difference in their table position and their points per goal position. So I'm going to right-click on table position, go to Create Calculated Field, and I'm going to call this Position Change. And I'm going to leave table position there, points per game position, hit OK. And then I'm going to drag that to the color. And now you can see my lines are colored red and green. But there's a couple of things here. First, we shouldn't be combining red and green just in case our viewers are red-green colorblind. And second, I want my negatives to actually be blue and my positives to be red. In other words, if their points per goal position is higher than their table position, I want those to be red. So I'm going to double click on the color palette, and I'm going to change it to a red-blue palette, and I'm going to reverse the colors and hit OK. Excellent. So now this is our first slope graph. So slope graph 1. And you can see as I scroll through the years, it works pretty well. Yep, looks nice. Okay, the second type of slope graph we're going to create is based on the seasons. So I'm going to drag season to the filters, and I want to look at the last 2 full seasons and see how a team's point total has changed from year to year. So I'm going to drag season to the columns, and I'm going to drag points to the rows. I'm going to drag team to the labels, change my mark type to lines, and now again I can start seeing the slope graph coming together. I need to add my little markers, make my lines thinner. All right, cool. And now in this case, I don't need the entire axis, so I'm going to uncheck the include 0, maybe label the title points here. And you can see that some of the teams only have 1 dot. That's because those teams were only in the league for that 1 season. And now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and color this by the percent difference in the change year over year. So for example, Manchester United had 89 points and they were champions in 2012. And then in 2013-14 season, they only had 64 points. So I'm going to take points and I'm going to drag that to the color. I'm going to right click on this pill and go to quick table calculation and choose percent difference. And all right, so it's starting to come together again. But again, we don't want to mix together our red and green. So I'm going to switch this to red and blue. And I'm going to force the middle of the axis at 0 because I only want my negatives to be red. And there you go. This is our second slope graph. All right, so that's it for today. I will post these on my blog and hope you like them.